So let's say that you've purchased yourself a pair of high-end flagship EMs and you are looking for a cable to accompany them because you just feel that something might be improved in their sound. Today we are taking a look at the Astral Acoustics Eclipse. This is a cable that eclipses others and gives you a good reason to upgrade the current cable of your EMs. The price of the Eclipse is $950 at the moment I'm filming this video review, and this is the kind of cable that would leave you impressed and yearning for more upgrades. So first off, we have the cable. It is a very simple cable. As you can see, I can now fit it entirely in the screen of my video. It is 120 centimeters in length, which is about 1 meter and 20 centimeters. It is enough to run from my ears all the way to my pockets and a bit more. It is made of pure silver. It comes with 3 years of warranty. It is really soft, as we'll explore today, and it can be ended in any termination you desire. This includes the 4.4mm jack that we have here for balanced outputs, and at the EM side you can fit basically any connector you desire, including very rare ones such as those used by Sennheiser. But today we have a very simple 2-pin connector that will accommodate most EMs on the market. The Astral Acoustics Eclipse is basically the way you will enhance the bass and tone down the treble of your EMs. It is designed in such a way that it will sound smooth, it will sound full, it will sound rich, and it will sound bassy. Those are the words I would use to describe the sound of the Astral Acoustics Eclipse. And one thing that the company doesn't really note about them, but it is how they sound, is wide. They sound incredibly wide, bigger than most default cables, and they end up sounding really full and really rich and satisfying. It is interesting to see a cable having such a high impact on EMs. Usually the sound is determined by how everything is combined together and how the design was purposed for it to sound like. For example, we have this cable made of silver, which is one of the brightest, usually more harsh and analytical materials for cables, or at least this is how they've been described to sound like, but it is one of the smoothest, fullest and deepest sounding cables out there. It also enhances the soundstage, and instead of making everything sounding just wider because it has that bright tonality that enhances the splashiness of the treble, the Astral Acoustics Eclipse actually enhances how big everything sounds like, how powerful music sounds like, how large everything is. And this is interesting because usually this is not how silver sounds like. So my advice is to never spend too much time on thinking how the material should sound like or how a specific DAC should sound like, because I've had DACs with ASS chips which are known to be bright and analytical, but in reality sounded very smooth and very pleasing. And I've had DACs from AK or Asahi Kasei which sounded quite bright and quite sparkly, and they had very little bass. They were very neutral in the bass, and that is not how they are usually known to sound like. So it is important to always judge a product by the product itself, not just how it is supposed to end up like. And the Astral Acoustics Eclipse ended up really nicely. Today I have it paired with the Ambient Acoustics Mod 16, which is an EM or in-ear monitor with 16 drivers for each ear. This one EM is quite sensitive to the cable quality because it has a rather low impedance, so it is sensitive to the source, and Astral Acoustics Eclipse really helps with its sound, with its dynamics. It improves how big and how large everything is, and it almost beats the bigger brother, the Ambient Acoustics Mod 24, when Mod 24 is running the default cable while the Mod 16 is running the Eclipse cable. The Mod 16 becomes larger in the bass, more powerful, it becomes more punchy, and it ends up sounding much more revealing. The sound becomes more detailed. That being said, the cable is not the kind of cable that will turn your EMs analytical. The comfort of the cable is quite good. It has this softer silicone made ear guide which has a good amount of springiness. It is not solid, it is not made of metal wire, but it is capable to have this shape, so it offers a good amount of support for your EMs. The Mod 16 was never quite that heavy, so I never had weight issues with them, but they are quite large in the body, so the cable doesn't really change anything about that. The comfort is quite great. I can feel them sitting nicely inside of my ear. The cable conducts microphonics very little, so it is one of the cables that will isolate you from the microphonic noise, and that is because the cable is incredibly soft. Usually softer cables tend to conduct microphonics less, while harder cables tend to conduct microphonics quite a bit. If you are doing this to a very soft material, you won't really hear it, while if you are doing this to a metallic pipe, the pipe will conduct the entire noise to your ears. Since we're talking about connectors, another reason you might prefer to get this upgrade cable is to have a 4.4mm balanced jack. And that is important because some sources are just designed in such a way that the balanced output will sound much better than the single-ended output. So when you are purchasing a high-end DAP or digital audio player, like let's say iBasso DX320, usually if it has a balanced output, it will sound much better from the balanced output. So when an EM like the MAT16 comes with a default cable that is not balanced, the sound is usually halved not only by having a worse quality for the cable, but also by not using the full potential of the amplifier inside of your source. This is important even for EMs because although usually balanced outputs tend to have a higher distortion and to have a higher noise floor, they also usually offer better dynamics, an improvement in resolution, an improvement in detail, and generally the sound is more pleasing to the ear. It is more vivid, more direct, and more punchy. And for that reason, I think that going for a balanced cable is important, especially since there are flagships that don't come with them and there are flagships that really do come with a balanced connector. Although this is a pair of EMs or in-ear monitors that do come with a really excellent cable, it can still be upgraded quite a bit. So this is the Let's Shure Cadenza 12. It is a very analytical, very clean and very detailed EM. And why am I saying that they can be upgraded? Well, the cable before the Y split or before the part where it splits into left and to right is quite rigid, which means that it conducts microphonics quite a bit. So when upgrading the cable of the Cadenza 12 to the Astral Acoustics Eclipse, you are getting a much lower level of microphonics, you are getting a better comfort, and also the sound is improved because those are quite analytic, quite bright and quite neutral. They don't have the largest of bass, they don't have a very powerful low end, and they have a pretty sparkly, pretty sharp treble. Well, the treble is not too much for me and for my tastes. For someone who is generally used to a smoother sound, the cable will tone down on the treble, it will increase on the bass, it will make everything smoother, fuller and bigger. Those have a very good precision and instrument separation, but a cable like the Astral Acoustics Eclipse will improve on the soundstage size too. It will make everything sound bigger. There will be an immediate improvement on how well everything is spaced inside of the soundscape, and music will just sound more natural with a better cable like the Astral Acoustics Eclipse. Here we don't really have a reason to upgrade the cable just for the connector because Let's Shure Cadenza 12 comes with a balanced cable from the factory and we have a 4.4mm connector. Those even have the connector removable, so the cable on them was already quite high-end. It is likely the matching that is causing the sound to be more analytical and brighter than the cable quality, because the cable quality on the Cadenza 12 is already excellent. While MAT16 doesn't come with a high-end cable, they come with a pretty entry-level cable, especially for the asking price. I also have another outlier here. This is the Sounds Avant. This is a company from Greece, and while the EM is quite excellent and I have absolutely nothing bad to say about the EM, the cable feels quite entry level compared to the EM, and it is also ended in a 3.5mm jack, so single-ended only. A cable like the Astral Acoustics Eclipse will help improve the bass, the resolution, the dynamics, the treble, and basically everything will just sound fuller, smoother, heavier and more powerful. And with those, which already sound quite heavy and quite powerful, the improvement is actually still for the better. They become more basshead, they tend to have a more punchy sound, a deeper sound, and more force in the sound. Everything just sounds larger, bigger, more powerful, and everything is more alive through them. So I do think that the Astral Acoustics Eclipse will improve most EMs out there. If there is one type of EM or one class of EMs that it will not improve, it is those that already sound very bassy and very smooth in the treble. The first one that comes to mind is the Beyerdynamic Xelento, and it will not improve the sound on the Xelento. Xelento is already quite bassy, quite smooth. There is very little treble available, so if you try to tone down that last remaining bit of treble, the sound will become too smooth and too bassy to be enjoyable anymore. This is also true for other super bassy EMs, for example for the Rapsodio Zombie, which is already quite deep, although you can cut some of the treble because Rapsodio Zombie is quite bright in the treble. We also have the Dita Perpetua, which happily I was able to test with the Astral Acoustics Eclipse because Dita Perpetua has a 2-pin connector, and Dita Perpetua is a basshead EM which already has a smooth treble. And once again, it isn't designed to work well with such a bassy and such a smooth EM. On the other hand, with EMs like Final Audio A8000, which I was able to test it with thanks to some adapters to MMSIX, the sound became much more enjoyable because A8000 is already a very analytical, very bright and very detailed EM. But it doesn't have a lot of bass or of low-end impact, and the treble can be quite bright. I mean, it's one of the brightest trebles out there. And using a cable like the Astral Acoustics Eclipse will totally improve the sound, will tone down on the treble, will give the bass more impact, better depth and more power, more punch, and will make everything more enjoyable. But then some people will ask you if you want to purchase a cable to equalize an EM instead of getting a better EM from the start. And to that I should answer with this. You should try to get an EM that is as close to your taste as possible from the beginning. A cable can be used to fine-tune an EM. It should not be used to repair something that you really dislike about an EM. You should try to purchase an EM that you already enjoy quite a lot and try to use minute improvements to create a better experience. Those cables should not be used to fix a product you don't like. I don't think that any product is inherently bad because there are people with any taste out there, and I think that we should respect that. If someone likes a very bright treble, that's okay. If someone enjoys a very large bass and doesn't want treble, that's okay as well. Everyone can enjoy what they like. What matters is that you get something that you like, something that is good for your own taste. And I do think that the Astral Acoustics Eclipse can help tone down if you already have an EM but you always wanted just to have a little bit less treble and a little bit more bass. The difference won't be quite as large as if you just purchased a different EM. So you have to keep that in mind. This is fine tuning, this is improving, this is not changing the basic nature of a product. I do hope that this video does change your day for the better. I hope that my content is enjoyable. I hope that you'll consider subscribing to Audiophile Heaven, leave a like on this video. Also, I hope that if you decide to go for one of those Astral Acoustics Eclipse cables, they will bring some sun into your life. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we'll see each other really soon. Bye!